Milan is often introduced as Italy's fashion capital, but that label only captures one visible layer of the city. Beneath the runways, luxury storefronts, and design showrooms is a much larger story. Milan is the economic engine of Italy, the administrative center of Lombardy, and the core of the country's largest metropolitan area. While Rome carries the symbolic weight of empire, church, and government, Milan carries a different kind of power. It is where finance, industry, media, design, research, tourism, and global business meet. In 2026, the city itself has more than 1.3 million residents, making it Italy's second most populous city after Rome. But the wider metropolitan region is far larger, with around 6.55 million people, making it the largest urban area in Italy and one of the largest in the European Union. That scale matters because Milan is not just a beautiful old city. It is a working system, a dense, high-value network of companies, universities, transport links, cultural institutions, and international events that shape Italy's place in the global economy. The reason Milan feels so different from many other Italian cities begins with geography. It sits in northern Italy, in Lombardy, one of Europe's most productive regions. The surrounding area connects Italy to the Alpine world, to Central Europe, and to major trade routes that have mattered for centuries. This location helped Milan become more than a regional settlement. It became a crossroads. The name Milan comes from Mediolanum, the Latin form used after the Romans conquered the city in 222 BC. But even before Rome, the area had already been settled around 590 BC by a Celtic tribe. That early foundation is important because Milan's identity has never been purely one thing. It has Celtic origins, Roman administration, medieval ambition, Renaissance wealth, Austrian influence, Italian nationalism, industrial expansion, and modern global branding layered on top of one another. The city's strength has often come from absorbing outside forces and turning them into local power. Milan is not a museum city frozen in a single golden age. It is a city repeatedly remade by conquest, trade, politics, and economic opportunity. Under Roman rule, Milan became one of the most important cities in northern Italy. Its Latin name, Mediolanum, suggests a central place, and in practice it grew into a strategic urban hub. The most dramatic sign of its importance came at the end of the 4th century, when Milan briefly served as capital of the Western Roman Empire. That fact is easy to pass over, but it reveals how central the city had become to imperial power. Rome itself was no longer always the best base from which to manage military pressure, political instability, and northern frontiers. Milan's location made it practical, defensible, and connected. This period helped establish a pattern that would repeat throughout the city's history. Milan often gained influence not mainly through symbolism, but through usefulness. It was valuable because it worked. It connected regions, concentrated administration, and supported power structures. That practical importance became one of Milan's defining traits. Even when political capital shifted elsewhere, Milan remained a place where decisions, money, and networks could be organized efficiently. After the Roman period, Milan continued to matter through the Middle Ages and became especially powerful as the center of the Duchy of Milan. In the late medieval period, the duchy was one of the wealthiest and most influential forces behind the Renaissance. This was not just an artistic story, although art was part of it. Wealthy courts, ambitious rulers, skilled artisans, engineers, merchants, and bankers all contributed to Milan's influence. Renaissance culture needed money, patronage, workshops, and competition among cities, and Milan had all of these. The city became associated with major artistic and intellectual achievements, including the presence of Leonardo da Vinci, whose works remain part of Milan's cultural identity today. But Milan's Renaissance importance was also political. It was a prize fought over by dynasties and foreign powers because controlling Milan meant controlling a rich and strategic part of northern Italy. The city's beauty and culture were inseparable from its economic and military value. Milan was never just decorative. It was a serious center of power. In the early modern period, Milan's story became tied to foreign domination and the long road toward Italian unity. The city was a major center of the Italian Enlightenment, a period when ideas about reform, reason, administration, and civic life reshaped political culture. At the same time, Milan's struggle against Austrian domination helped feed the movements that eventually led to the reunification of Italy. This part of Milan's history matters because it shows the city as both intellectual and political. Its elites, writers, reformers, and citizens were not only producing culture, they were also debating what society should become. Milan was part of the pressure that pushed Italy from a fragmented peninsula of states and foreign-controlled territories toward a unified kingdom. The city's modern identity still carries that tension, cosmopolitan but intensely Italian, pragmatic but politically significant, commercially ambitious but also culturally self-aware. Milan helped imagine and build modern Italy, not by replacing Rome's symbolic role, but by adding a northern engine of reform, industry, and finance. From the 19th century onward, Milan became one of the main drivers of Italy's industrial and financial development. This is where the modern Milan most people recognize begins to take shape. Factories, banks, transport infrastructure, newspapers, design firms, and corporate headquarters helped turn the city into the country's economic capital. That phrase is not just a compliment. Milan's metropolitan area accounts for roughly 20% of Italy's GDP, an extraordinary share for one urban region. The city and its special metropolitan authority have the largest GDP and the highest GDP per person of any Italian province. In practical terms, this means Milan concentrates decision-making power. Companies choose it because talent, capital, services, and international connections are already there. Workers move there because high-value sectors are clustered there. Investors pay attention because Milan is where Italian business often becomes visible to the world. The result is a self-reinforcing cycle. Milan is powerful because it attracts activity, and it attracts activity because it is powerful. Finance is one of the clearest examples of Milan's national role. The city's business district hosts Borsa Italiana, Italy's main stock exchange, which is part of the Euronext Group, one of the world's largest exchange operators by market capitalization. A stock exchange is more than a building or a trading platform. It is a symbol of where capital is organized, where companies seek investment, and where national economic life becomes measurable through markets. Milan also hosts the headquarters of many major national corporations, including several Fortune 500 Europe companies. This gives the city a corporate density that few Italian cities can match. Milan's financial identity is not separate from its industrial and cultural identity. Luxury brands need capital, manufacturers need banking relationships, media companies need advertising markets, and international events need sponsors and infrastructure. Finance ties these worlds together. That is why Milan can be a place of elegant storefronts and high-speed business meetings at the same time. Its glamour is supported by balance sheets. Milan's global reputation, however, is most visible through fashion and design. Milan Fashion Week is one of the world's major fashion events, and the Milan Furniture Fair is one of the leading global gatherings for design, interiors, and lifestyle industries. These events bring buyers, journalists, creators, celebrities, executives, and tourists into the city, but their importance goes beyond visitor numbers. They help define taste. They influence what luxury looks like, what homes look like, what brands communicate, and how Italian craftsmanship is presented internationally. Milan's fashion status works because the city combines creativity with commercial discipline. It is not only a place where beautiful things are imagined, it is a place where they are produced, marketed, distributed, and sold at global scale. That combination is rare. Many cities are artistic. Many are commercial. Milan's advantage is that it makes style feel like an industry and industry feel stylish. This is why its fashion identity remains so powerful. It is not a seasonal costume, but a deep economic ecosystem. Culture gives Milan another layer of influence. The city has museums and art galleries with collections recognized among the most important in the world, including works connected to Leonardo da Vinci. For visitors, Milan can sometimes be misunderstood because it does not present itself like Rome, Venice, or Florence. Its treasures are not always arranged as an open-air postcard. Some of Milan's cultural power is hidden behind church walls, inside galleries, in design archives, at opera houses, and in institutions that reward slower attention. That makes the city feel more modern and less immediately theatrical than some other Italian destinations. But this does not make it less cultural. It makes its culture more layered. Milan has been shaped by patrons, engineers, musicians, architects, publishers, designers, and scientists. It is a city where art and applied intelligence often overlap. The same environment that supports fashion and finance also supports exhibitions, research, performance, and education. Milan's culture is not detached from its economy, it is one of the sources of its economic strength. Education and science are also central to Milan's modern role. The city hosts numerous academies and universities, accounting for about 11% of Italy's total enrolled students. That concentration of students helps keep Milan young, competitive, and connected to new ideas. Universities do more than award degrees. They attract international researchers, support specialized labor markets, feed creative industries, and provide talent for finance, engineering, medicine, communications, and design. In a global city, education is infrastructure. It may not be as visible as a railway station or airport, but it determines whether a city can renew itself. Milan's classification as an alpha city by the Globalization and World Cities Research Network reflects this kind of connectivity. An alpha city is not just big, it is internationally linked and economically influential. Milan's universities, companies, fairs, media networks, and transport systems all contribute to that status. The city functions as a gateway between Italy and global systems of knowledge, capital, taste, and professional opportunity. Tourism in Milan is built on this mix of business, culture, fashion, food, sports, and events. It is one of the most visited cities in the world, ranking second in Italy after Rome, fifth in Europe, and 16th globally. Those rankings show that Milan is not simply a stop for business travelers. It is a destination in its own right. Visitors come for the cathedral, galleries, shopping districts, exhibitions, restaurants, football, design events, and the atmosphere of a city that feels both Italian and international. Milan is also known for luxury hospitality and ranks among the world's most Michelin-starred cities. Its hosting of the Universal Expositions in 1906 and 2015 reinforced its image as a city capable of staging major international events. These exhibitions were not just spectacles, they were statements about Milan's ability to organize, welcome, and present itself to the world. Tourism here is tied to prestige. People visit Milan not only to see the past, but to encounter a city that still feels economically alive. Sport adds a powerful emotional identity to Milan. The city is home to two of Europe's most successful football clubs, AC Milan and Internazionale, better known as Inter Milan. Their rivalry is not just local entertainment. It is part of European football history, followed by fans around the world. Through these clubs, Milan projects itself globally every week, not through finance or fashion, but through loyalty, drama, and competition. The city is also home to Olimpia Milano, one of Europe's important basketball teams. Sport gives Milan something that business districts and fashion weeks cannot provide on their own: mass emotion. It connects residents, migrants, tourists, and international fans through shared symbols and rituals. The city's role in co-hosting the 2026 Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games adds another layer to this sporting identity. Milan is not an alpine resort, but as a northern Italian powerhouse, it can provide the organizational, commercial, and cultural platform for a global event. Once again, its strength is coordination. What makes Milan fascinating is the way all these identities reinforce one another. Its ancient and medieval history gives it depth. Its Renaissance and Enlightenment roles give it intellectual weight. Its industrial and financial development gives it national power. Its fashion, design, museums, universities, restaurants, fairs, and sports clubs give it global visibility. Milan is not Italy's capital, but it is the city that often shows how modern Italy works. It turns culture into industry, industry into wealth, wealth into influence, and influence into international reputation. That does not mean Milan is simple or perfect. Like many global cities, it faces pressure from high costs, competition, congestion, and the challenge of preserving identity while growing. But its long history suggests a remarkable ability to adapt. From Celtic settlement to Roman capital, from Renaissance duchy to financial center, from industrial city to global fashion hub, Milan has repeatedly transformed without losing its central purpose, to connect power, creativity, and commerce. That is why Milan remains one of Europe's most important cities. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.